With the January transfer window now open, clubs will be busy buying and selling players. And as with all transfers, they can go either way. They either turn out to be successes or they turn out to be failures. And so in this video, we'll take a look at the 10 worst January transfers in the last decade. But as always, before we get started, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 10. Ben Davies to Liverpool. One of the most desperate January signings in a long time has to be when Liverpool signed centre-back Ben Davies from Preston on the January 2021 deadline day. At the time, Liverpool were going through a defender crisis with Matip, Joe Gomez and Van Dijk all injured, leaving Liverpool with no senior centre-back. Still, it seems strange that Liverpool would go and sign a 25-year-old centre-back from the Championship to solve their problems. To make the transfer even more absurd, he never even played a competitive game for the club. Instead, he was loaned out to Sheffield United in the Championship for a season and sold permanently 18 months after his initial purchase to Rangers for £4 million. Number 9. Leonardo Balerdi to Dortmund. Dortmund have signed a countless number of young gems who have gone on to be huge successes at the club, including the likes of Dembele, Sancho, Haaland and Bellingham. But Leonardo Balerdi was not one of them. The Argentinian defender came to the Bundesliga from Boca Juniors for an eye-catching €15 million. But the now 24-year-old made just one start in 18 months for Dortmund as he featured more for the club's reserve side. His only senior start came in a humiliating 4-0 defeat to Hoffenheim in 2020, and that was his final appearance before he was sent to Marseille. Dortmund couldn't quite work their development magic in this case. Number 8. Shaqiri to Inter Milan. Shaqiri has had some memorable moments at the likes of Bayern Munich, Liverpool and even Stoke City, but the club where he has little to no memories is Inter Milan. He signed for the club on the 9th of January 2015 for a fee of €15 million. At the time, the transfer seemed like a very smart piece of business for a 23-year-old who had been playing for Bayern, but he had a terrible time at Inter Milan. In his one and only season at the club, he only made 15 league appearances, scoring just a single goal. Luckily, Inter didn't make too much of a loss when they sold him just 6 months later for £12 million, but the deal was still a massive flop all in all. Number 7. Kostas Mitroglou to Fulham. With Fulham hurling towards relegation, they went to the transfer market and splashed a then club record £12 million on Kostas Mitroglou in January 2014. It was the West London club's last roll of the dice, as they pinned all their hopes on Olympiakos' prolific marksman to help them get out of their rut and guide them to safety. René Mullenstein was the manager when Mitroglou arrived, but he was swiftly replaced by Felix Magath, who was not a fan of the Greek striker. Mitroglou only started one game at Fulham and failed to score a single goal. Fulham would eventually end up getting relegated to the Championship and Mitroglou was sent back to Greece. Number 6. Kallstrom. It's the 10-year anniversary of one of the most infamous January transfers in Premier League history. After impressive spells with Rennes, Lyon and Spartak Moscow, the Gunners elected to move for Sweden international Kallstrom on loan until the end of the 13/14 campaign. The only problem was that Kallstrom was recovering from a back injury, a problem that was noted during his medical. But Arsenal continued to press on with the deal and Kallstrom ended up making just 4 appearances for the Gunners before exiting. Despite his hugely unsuccessful time at the club, Kallstrom said he enjoyed his time at Arsenal. I'm not sure if Arsenal fans would say the same thing. Number 5. Wilfried Bony to Man City. Bony was a sensation for Swansea in his debut season, scoring 25 goals in all competitions during the 13/14 campaign. His prolific form continued with 9 goals in the first half of the 14/15 season, which led to the Ivory Coast international landing a £25 million move to City. At the time, that made him the most expensive African footballer of all time. However, game time proved scarce for the Ivorian as he was behind the likes of Aguero, Dzeko and Negredo in the pecking order. The arrival of Pep Guardiola as manager in 2016 brought a quiet end to Bony's career at City, who then returned to Swansea but never regained his old form. Number 4. Lucas Silva to Real Madrid. Once an incredibly highly rated youngster, Lucas Silva arrived in Spain having thoroughly impressed during the infancy of his career in his native Brazil. However, unlike the likes of Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo, this Brazilian failed to find his feet in Madrid. Just 9 appearances later, he was sent out on loan to Marseille, where he also failed to impress. He then rejoined former club Cruzeiro on loan in the hopes that he would rediscover the form that got him the move to Real Madrid in the first place. Unfortunately, he didn't have the same impact the second time round, and Real Madrid terminated his contract on the 3rd of September 2019. Number 3. Juan Cuadrado to Chelsea. Cuadrado's time at Chelsea has proven to be the only blemish on what's been a pretty remarkable career. He signed for the Blues for £23 million in 2015, with Mo Salah moving in the opposite direction. At the time, he was one of the most exciting wingers in world football and one of the best players playing in Italy. But he was a shadow of himself at Chelsea, making just 15 appearances for the club and was nothing short of a major flop. He was swiftly moved on to Juventus, where he reinvented himself as a fullback and is still going strong in Italy at the age of 35. Number 2. Coutinho to Barcelona. The Brazilian international joined Barcelona on a big money move from Liverpool, which was reported to be an initial £105 million, rising to £142 million with various clauses being met. And he made a very good start at the club, scoring 9 goals and providing 8 assists in just 22 matches. However, his form would significantly dip from then on. As a result, he was sent out on loan to Bayern Munich in August 2019 for a season, and despite not nailing a starting spot there, he did manage to win the Champions League at Munich and even scored against Barcelona in the quarter-final, which helped knock out his parent club out of the competition. Upon his return to Barcelona, he struggled with injuries and was loaned out to Aston Villa in January 2022, a move which was later made permanent. Number 1. Alexis Sanchez to Manchester United. Despite seeing him dramatically fall out of form at Arsenal, Manchester United believed they could get Sanchez back to his best and exchanged the winger for Henrik Mkhitaryan in a rare straight swap deal. Many Arsenal fans feared this could be Robin van Persie 2.0, where he joins Manchester United and fires them to a Premier League title. Manchester United fans were also hoping that that would be the case. Unfortunately, history didn't repeat itself as the Chile international had a torrid time at the club. He scored 3 league goals in 18 months for United before being loaned out to Inter Milan for the 19/20 campaign, and he eventually joined them permanently that summer. Sanchez would later come out and admit that he regretted his move to Manchester United and was even on the phone to his agent after his first training session, asking if it was possible for him to go back to Arsenal. And that was it for the 10 worst January transfers in the last decade. But what do you guys think? Which January transfer for you has been the worst one in the last 10 years? Comment your answer down below and please don't forget to like and share the video and subscribe to the channel.